All right, so we're going to start getting into some CSS now and doing some styles. I thought about going into more detail on HTML and looking at all the individual elements and how they work, but you know what? We'll do some code along examples after this crash course as well. And there's the notes here as well, right? You can always go to HTML basics and, oh, I want to learn about ordered lists. It's pretty self-explanatory in here to try it yourself, and you can kind of see what the result is. Okay, so I'm not going to go through a lot of detail on all of that. I think you can figure it out on your own, and we'll get there. I'll help you out as needed. Now I want to start looking at CSS basics, where we add CSS for cascading style sheet. It tells the browser how to style the page. Okay, and the key idea here is we have this CSS selects elements on the page. And then inside of these braces, they're called, or I like to call them curly brackets sometimes, you put these different property value pairs, these style declarations. So for all H1s, make them have a color of red and a font family of Papyrus. Okay, so that's the main syntax. Select elements on the HTML elements, and then give them different style properties with values. Okay. Now you can do CSS in a couple different ways. The recommended way is to have an external style sheet. So you have a separate file, style.css, where you put all your CSS rules into. And then in your HTML document, you would link to it. Okay, and we've been using Replit, and Replit actually sets this up for us nicely. So I'm logged into Replit here with my fake student 7, and if I go to My REPLs, you can go to your HTML and CSS basics folder, and that was my first HTML document, which I could click on and it would open that. But what I want to do this time is I actually want to create a new REPL, and this time I want to import from GitHub. Okay, so to do that, let's see if I can figure this out. I would like to go back to here. And on this one here, I have some start code, dummy.html.get. And that will take me to GitHub, which has a repository, just a bunch of files, my project files, all ready to go. And if I just take this URL right here, Control C to copy that, and if I paste it into here, I should be able to import from GitHub. Let's see if that works. So it's loading it. It's running some cool commands here where it's cloning that, making a copy of that wonderful repository. I need to select a language, which it identified for me here. I'm not going to do anything with this, and I just hit done. And once it loads and connects, I should have. Okay, so there's this little README file. GitHub, usually repositories have that README, just some brief description. In this case, brief, sometimes it's more. But, oh, and this .replit is new. That's something that must have happened when I imported it, that it just has settings on what language this is. But I want this index.html and the style.css. And if I hit run, we can see this. Let's pop it into a new window. Okay, dummy HTML just has some headings, some paragraphs, a link, which takes me to a page on Lorem Ipsum. Awesome. So a list right here, an image, another heading, another paragraph. Ta-da. Okay, so the main idea here is I wanted to show you, well, first of all, actually I'm going to hit this auto format. There, that got to my 2 spaces that I want. And, oh, not perfect. I think this stuff, so inside the body, everything should be indented. Just makes things easier to read. Spacing between things is good usually. This stuff here, I'm going to highlight and hit Shift Tab. Yeah, that should indent it. Okay, cool. So this is my HTML code, and we should be familiar with this now, the page structure, right? The declaring its HTML, the root element. I've got a head with information about the website. The title shows up in the tab here, right? And now this is the interesting part with the CSS. I am linking, and the key here is this href attribute. I am linking to the reference file called style.css, which exists right here. And it basically tells this HTML document, hey, use whatever style rules are in here. And then we've got a H1, H2, right? These opening tags, closing tags, the content for these elements, a paragraph with a link inside of it, right? That href. For the link, this A tag tells it where to go when I click on it. UL is an unordered list with list items in it, LI for list items. An image has a source attribute, and I have an images folder here which has a couple of different options. I could do lorem ipsum 2 if I wanted to, and it's just a different image there, or 3, etc. If I refresh here, you can see it as well. Cool. And then another H2 and a paragraph with a span in it. I want an ID. I haven't talked about IDs yet. We'll get there. Let's delete that for now, actually. We'll add that later. And body ends and HTML ends. Good. So like I said, the key here is that we can link to the style.css, and inside of style.css we can see I'm selecting the body and I'm telling it to have a margin left of 100 pixels, which is why I've got the space here. Okay, if I got rid of that or made it less, let's go 50 pixels. I hit refresh here, and you'll see now it's only 50 pixels. Okay, so this is where I can write my CSS and it'll affect this page. I can select all H2 elements and go color purple. Right, go back here and refresh, and now my H2 elements are all purple. Okay, I can select all of my paragraph elements and go font family. Ooh, look, a whole bunch pop up for me. Sure, Courier New. Let's try that one. Hit run, and we get that Courier New on all of the, hit refresh, on all the paragraphs. Okay, so that's the basics, right? If we go to the CSS basics here, the syntax, selector, and then all the properties, and we create that external style sheet, and we link to that external style sheet from the HTML. Okay, in the next video, we'll look more at more advanced selectors and different properties. Okay, hope that made sense. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.